Americanism, not globalism, will be our credo. Then we can be assured that other nations will not treat America with respect, the respect that we deserve.
What is up, people of the internet? It is me, Real American Politics, back in with a new video, and today we're doing kind of an off-topic video. I know. I said I would do one of these a month, but today I have some stuff going on, have to get going quickly, but I cannot leave you guys hanging with no video. So today, we're going to be doing a scenario of if Donald Trump wins the national popular vote by a couple points in 2024. Now again, there's been some polling to show this, but I do still think as of now, Biden would win the popular vote by like maybe a half point or so. But this is a scenario or a map of if Donald Trump can win the popular vote by like a point or two. And yeah, I hope you enjoy these type of videos. If you do, smash like down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit the little bell, and yes, of course, go follow that mysterious Twitter account in the description down below. And yeah. Alright, let's get right into it. So again, this is going to be kind of a quick video, but I want to give my perspective on how I think the 2024 map would look like if Trump could somehow win the popular vote by just maybe 1 or 2 points or so. So of course, all of these would be safe. I mean, there's no argument about it. Texas in this scenario, easily safe. At this point, this means, you know, total reversion in most suburbs. And that would mean Trump would win Texas by like 11 or 12 points. Iowa would be safe, Missouri, all of these would be safe. Ohio would be safe probably by like 16, 17 points. West Virginia, South Carolina, and of course, Maine's second. These are the ones that pretty much 100% in this scenario, Republicans would win in a safe margin. Now for Democrats, it gets a bit small. This is probably what they would get. I mean, Delaware, if it wasn't for Biden, would be within 10 points. But because he's from the frickin' area, it is still a safe seat. Rhode Island, New York, Massachusetts, and Vermont. And that's it. That's what I consider for all the safe Democrat states. I don't even have Maine's first safe in this scenario. We'll get to that in a second. So, let's go through likely to lean states to tilt states. Or actually, you know what? Let's go from West Coast to East Coast. We can explain these better. So, of course, the meme of the video and stuff are going to be up here, the Northwest. I think Oregon would be within 10 points. Not saying Biden would lose it, just it would be within like 10 points. Maybe like an 8-point victory for him. Washington, I think, would actually vote to the right of Oregon. I know that's weird, but there's been some polls up in Washington that show there is something shifting in the state. It's unlike Oregon, known as a shithole that is Portland, that it's just not moving. As for Washington, that Senate race is going to be very close, and that does show that something is brewing in Washington. Now, of course, they care a lot about environmental issues. If Republicans could capitalize on that, it could be within 5 points, but I'm not going to say that in this scenario just yet. As for the Southwest, I think it's quite obvious. Nevada, Arizona, both would be likely. I think New Mexico in this scenario would flip to like a half-point victory for Teflon Don. I think at this point, the Albuquerque margins would be just way too close for Biden to carry the state of New Mexico. However, I do think Colorado would stay Democrat. I mean, it's Colorado. That state is gone. You think Virginia's gone? Huh, you haven't seen shit yet. Colorado is gone. Even in a scenario where Republicans win the popular vote by a couple points, Colorado would still vote to left the nation by like 6-7 points, at least. So, yeah, I have that as a lean state. Nebraska's second, I don't think that's much of a debate there. Now we get Illinois. And this is a state that for years has been like voting exactly the same. I mean, it's like, what? Biden won it by 16, Clinton won it by 16, Obama won it by like 20, I think it was. It's like, it's just staying the same margins pretty much. And I do think in this scenario, Biden would still carry the state of Illinois, but not by, 16, 17 points. Closer to like 9 or 10 points. Borderline to safe. but still I would consider it a likely state for Joe Biden. In this scenario, I don't think that's going to happen in real life, just in this scenario, you probably would see a lot of the suburban reversion happen in Chicagoland. Now we get Minnesota. And I know this was my big mistake in 2020. I thought Trump was going to win Minnesota because of the riots. I personally thought it. But that was wrong. And I don't want to get burned again. But if Trump was able to win the popular vote by 1 or 2 points, I think in that scenario, a lot of the this is a tough one. I think Minneapolis would shift like a couple points to the right, but I think rural Minnesota is where most of the shifts would happen. I mean, they're going to vote closer to like rural Ohio more than rural like Wisconsin, which it's not that Republican compared to these other states. But I do think in this scenario, Minnesota would finally flip. Now, what's going to happen is Trump's going to win the popular vote by 5, and Minnesota's still going to go Democrat. That's how my luck is with the state of Minnesota. But I have this feeling if Trump can win the popular vote, he could finally break through and win the state of Minnesota. Wisconsin won't even close. Borderline safe margin. At that point, Democrats will be getting crushed in the WOW counties, getting obliterated in northern Wisconsin. They may lose all the superior counties. So, yeah, it's not going to be close in Wisconsin. Michigan, probably like a 3-point victory. Again, with Michigan, it comes down to union workers. And these union workers in Michigan still like Biden. Not because he thinks they're a good president, but because he did help bail out their companies in 2008. Now, will they stick with Biden in 2024? I don't know. But I still do think that Michigan would go to Trump by like 3 or 4 points. It's Republican trending very slowly, but if Trump can win those union workers that are still voting Democrat, he can win the state of Michigan by like 3 or 4 points, possibly 5, in a best case scenario. Pennsylvania, very similar to Wisconsin. I don't think I gotta say much. Now we get Virginia. I think this would be the closest it would be to voting Republican in years. I think in this scenario, with what we saw in 2021 in Virginia, I think Democrats would still win it, but by such a close margin that I think Republicans would gain a lot of the state seats, like House seats, but I don't think they would win the presidential race. Now, for the Senate race, I think Republicans would win it in this scenario. Now, it's one of those states that culturally they're still like conservative. They still vote Democrat. Now, will they shift to Republican? Who knows? But if 2021 does show us something, it's that Virginia still has that conservative lean on cultural issues. I don't know if Trump can fully reach that vote. North Carolina won't be close. Georgia, look, with everything that's going on in Georgia, I don't think it would be close either. Like a 5-6 point victory for Trump. So very similar to what he did in 2016. Like, he would do okay in the suburbs, do great in the central part of the state. And I think he would gain a lot in the southern half of the state. The Black Belt. I think that's where Biden or Trump would gain the most. Now, would he win it by like 10 points? No. He would win it by like 5-6 points. So roughly in line with what we saw in 2016. Florida would be safe. I don't think that's a question about it. And now we get some northeastern states. Now, I think New Jersey would be within 10 points. I think it would be like a 6-7 point victory for Biden. Now, Connecticut, I'm going to get a lot of shit for this. But I think, similar to New Jersey, is going to vote to the right on Jersey. Look, Connecticut, there is something happening in the state of Connecticut. There's been a bunch of state races, not the governorship, but a bunch of other statewide races, a bunch of state legislator races. They're all flipping. We saw that a little bit in New Jersey, but not to the extent we're seeing in Connecticut. All the special elections, flipping, becoming more Republican, whatever. We didn't see that as much in New Jersey, but I do think Connecticut would vote to the right of New Jersey, which sounds crazy, but I think in this scenario, you would see a lot of Republicans back in the early 2000s finally vote for Trump again. Or a Republican again, I should say. Now we get New Hampshire. I don't think that's a question. I think Trump would win it by like 3 points. The state hates incumbents, and if Trump wins a popular vote by 1 or 2, that's a huge win in the state of New Hampshire. Now we get Maine. I think it would be within 10 points for Maine's first, and I think Maine's second would probably be safe. I know that may sound crazy, but most of the trends we see in Maine, a lot of it's going to come from the Maine second, obviously. But for Trump to win the popular vote by 1, he would take off a lot of the support in Maine's first, which you take into account the math, Trump would probably win the state by like 8, 9, possibly 10 points. That sounds crazy, but you look at some of the data points, that's not so crazy after all. And this, folks, is my 2024 prediction if Trump can win the popular vote by 1 or 2 points. If you did enjoy this video, which I did, hope you did, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit the little bell, and yes, thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you guys in the next video. Godspeed to all of you.